Preds fans are slowly coming in here. There's another pick in right now, the New York Giants.
The roster goes from this to this.
The Titans, who will be center stage, will continue to keep on this story. Tatum Everett, Fox 17 Sports. Daytona means family and community for Glenn Morris, who's worked the track for more than 20 years. You may not see him walking around, but his work is everywhere, facilitating every move on the more than 500-acre property.
It's hard to admit when you're wrong, whether it's you or me or Titans general manager John Robinson. It's not easy to say you've made a mistake. However, those were the words out of J-Rob's mouth the same day the Titans officially released linebacker Vic Beasley.
The Titans are welcoming in roughly 7,000 to 8,000 fans. That's about 12.5% capacity. Now, that may sound like a small number, but put it this way. When you hear the fake crowd noise out of the speakers, it's just not the same. That 12.5% will make a huge difference for a Titans team who's missing several key starters and facing an unbeaten Buffalo Bills team who's had a lot more practice than they have.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to say may surprise you. If the NFL playoffs started today, the Titans wouldn't make the cut. They'd miss the postseason altogether. And this is after their 5-0 start.
The big guy right here, we've got to reunite these two right now. What do you think of this whole Power Ranger-inspired suit? What are you thinking of it?
I mean, I had to do it big for the draft.
They don't seem as nervous as you think they would. This is their big moment.
Robinson added they don't make these moves to send messages to players. They make these moves to try and win football games. Now the Titans will have to rely on those players already on the roster to step up. Guys like Derek Roberson, who had a great postseason but hasn't seen the field yet.
The Titans are hoping to build off a better defensive performance that they had Sunday against the Bears. However, we all know this Colts offense is much better than the one we saw from Chicago just a few days ago.
Good deal. Well, let's have a seat. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel always talks about how he sits down with you either once or twice a day to discuss roster changes or potential roster moves. What are those conversations like? What happens when there's a disagreement?
We arm wrestle. I'm kidding.
The righty out of Hendersonville will be on the mound in this Game 3 start. It's something he's always dreamed of. He said that when he played wiffle ball as a kid, he would get on the mound and say it's Game 3 of the College World Series, and he's here now. The Titans have 10 of 11 starters from last season, and all off-season long, they preached consistency. And these guys they want to build their offense around, and that's what they're doing with Ryan Tannehill. Has already thrown for 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, which I know those are the type of numbers Vikings fans are drooling for Kirk Cousins to have right now. He's the confidence guy. This is his team now. There's no doubt about that. And he is able to do what he's so good at right now because Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a machine and a constant threat on the field. So when teams are game planning for Henry, it's allowing Tannehill or trying to make Tannehill beat them.
Fit is everything. If your shoe doesn't fit, you get a blister. If you have the wrong car part, it won't run. The Titans offense no longer has blisters and is running on all cylinders. With 6 wins in the last 7 games, Tennessee's averaging over 31 points per game, proving that Ryan Tannehill's finally the right fit for this offense.
If you look at Sunday night's matchup on paper, the Titans may not like what they see. While their running game is the best it's been this season, the Colts have one of the best defenses in the league.
It's a huge challenge.
It's going to be a great challenge for us.
I've said every time I've had a chance to talk to you, it's going to be a great challenge.
100. Indy is one of 3 teams that hasn't allowed a 100-yard rusher this season.
Put a whole game plan behind running, and if they're able to, perform better than you and shut you down, it kind of could put you in a tough situation trying to have to scramble. So we just really have to come out quick and make sure we're able to run the ball when we want to.
Everybody in the NFL has a good front, and our job as offensive linemen is to go out there and execute what is called. And if it's a run call, we got to dial it up, and we know we got to be better on that play because they do have a good defense.
The Colts are just as tough through the air, ranking 6th in the NFL against the pass, giving up only 212 yards per game.
They're aggressive, attacking the football. They're doing everything, I think, from a standpoint scheme-wise. They all understand it. They seem to embraced that scheme and they're playing fast.
Don't count on converting in the red zone either. The Colts have the second best red zone defense. Teams score only 42.5% of the time.
The stats say for itself. Guys that make tackles, makes plays, and we're playing at a high level.
They are committed to stopping the run, and so, it's going to take both phases, the pass and the run game, to really kind of open it up.
Numbers never lie, however, they're just stats. The Titans are only concerned with one formula. Win, and you're in the playoffs.
A homemade chicken wire backstop, a Civil War era bat, and an old-time ball. All things unusual in 2019. Not for this group of baseball fanatics who play the game the vintage way.
Seamus, Nashville Maroons. In 1864, the rule was catching it on one bounce means you're out.
Rules are important when preserving America's pastime.
No sliding.
There's no gloves.
No spitting, no swearing.
And these guys are restoring baseball to its purest form.
What's vintage baseball? Which is how about every question is the first thing people ask when you talk about vintage baseball is, what is it?
There's no contracts. There's no instant replay. There's no macho man out here. It's just a bunch of guys who love the game.
Runner is out at third. 3 hands are dead.
The Tennessee Association of Vintage Baseball transports players and fans to how the game was played during the Civil War, using the rules, customs, and equipment from 1864.
So like Field of Dreams, you walk past the benches, we're not allowed to have plastic or anything that's not period appropriate, basically. We can't run through the bag and we can't slide at a base.
That was not considered a gentleman move.
One of the things about not playing with a glove is that you're not limited to catching with your natural hand that you normally catch with. You've got to learn to be that you can reach out and play with one hand or the other.
Out on the mound, 3 hands.
Despite modern conveniences, they still do things the 1864 way, like playing with one ball the entire game.
Even though we have a bag full of balls, we kind of stay true to that. We've had the ball get lost in the weeds and we've taken 5 minutes to find it. We basically call our own outs, and when we're safe, so we hold each other accountable, to be honest, and that's what's really awesome about our league.
Authenticity is a vintage baseball cornerstone, and that's why the venues must be as authentic as the game itself.
We have the Hermitage, Bicentennial Mall downtown, Carton Plantation in Franklin. Scouts play at Oakland's Mansion in Murfreesboro. We play at Ramsey House in Knoxville, at Fort Oglethorpe in Chattanooga.
Most of our teams have a tie back to a team that was actually around in the late 1800s. We do our research and we try to find something in the area that kind of ties it to the history of the area.
Every detail accounted for, from recreation to education. Every effort to bring America's pastime to the present.
We want to make sure that we kind of send you back in time.